that will be given by Dr. Rachel Kollender, who is a musicologist and ethnomusicologist. Her research is mainly in the field of Jewish music. She taught for over 50 years at Bar-Ilan University and other academic institutions. She lectured at many conferences, and her articles have been published in periodicals and books in Hebrew and English. The subject of music in the Holocaust has been her main subject of research during the last 20 years and includes collecting, documenting, and analyzing of this repertoire. Dr. Kollender will talk now about Ishaide von Dier, Else Weber, a musician perished in Auschwitz. The floor is yours, Rachel.
Thank you. How can I share?
Go down, press share. Share screen.
You see it? You can see it?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay,
share
so
screen.
I sit back. I do first the share screen.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
Now?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for inviting me to this, to have a speech about Ilse Weber in this forum. Ilse Herrlinger Weber was a poet, musician, author, and as a musician, as a musicologist, I focus on her creative musical talent and the tragic loss of a young, outstanding person and talent. She was born in 1903 in Witkowice in the Czech Republic. Her family was well rooted in the Jewish community and celebrated religious and cultural holidays. She was inspired by her mother was a widow, and learned to sing and play many instruments. She began publishing poems, so we can discuss her personality as a musician, but she started as a writer. She began publishing poems and stories in magazines, mainly for children, at the age of 13. But these pieces were printed later and translated into many languages. In 1928, Tales for Children. Her children's tales are didactic, guiding and exposing children to the realities of the world, facing them with religious values, Jewish values, and Zionist themes. In 1930, she married Wilhelm Weber. 2 children were born, and the family planned even to immigrate to Israel, but unfortunately out. The situation in the Czech Republic was, from the point of anti-Semitism, disturbing her. And in 1938, the family succeeded in getting the bigger boy. Here we have the picture of the 2 of them. The bigger boy was called Hanush, out of Czechoslovakia. He was sent to England and then moved with a friend of Ilse to Sweden, where he stayed during the war and survived. Ilse wrote a text, of course, and the poem, and composed a song of longing, of waiting to see him again. Here we have this, a piece of it. Most of just to explain, she was well rooted in the German language and in Czech language. So we will have here the musical examples will be both in German and in Czech. This is in German.
We can't hear you. We can't hear anything.
I think it needs to be in slideshow to play music. It's not in slideshow.
No.
So what how can I stop?
Stop. Just a second.
How? What am I going
Try
to do?
again. Try again. Share
No,
screen again. And
I cannot close it.
Yes, you did.
No. Just to write the what do I have?
Calm down. It's gonna be okay. Just a second.
Oh well, no, I can't see anything. I can't. No, please.
Try again.
I cannot close it. Okay, I'll try again. We tried before and it was okay.
Okay, it happens.
You see anything?
No.
No, you don't see. Okay, so I'll do again the share screen. And what now?
Go to the left and press sound.
No, I don't have it.
So, okay, come down. Let me try share the screen.
No, I don't have it. I don't.
Do you see now?
Yeah, I see it.
Yes. Okay, good. Let me try.
It's okay, but it takes a few seconds until it starts. Do you hear anything?
Yes.
Hoch sind die Berge und tief ist das Meer, mein Herz ist müd und Sehn so schwer, und der Regen rinnt, warum bist du so fern, mein Kind? Und der Regen rinnt, Gott selbst hat uns getrennt, mein Kind. Du sollst nicht Leid und Elend sehen, sollst nicht auf steinigen Gassen gehen. Und der Regen rinnt und der Regen.
What happened?
Nothing. I stopped it. I stopped.
Okay, so you will go on with screening the.
Yes, just tell me when and I'll do it.
Okay, thank you. Well, the text in German is very clear. It's raining. Just the nature is as usual, but I'm waiting to see you. I'm longing to see her child. In 1941, she volunteered to work in the Jewish orphanage in Prague, but soon afterwards the family was deported to Terezin. And I wonder if she had a chance to meet Greta Salus, because both were also deported to Auschwitz later in October 44. I don't know. I didn't find the name of Salus while doing my small, tiny research about Ilse Weber. During her imprisonment, she worked at the infirmary. That's how they called a kind of a clinic or a hospital for children. There she composed many nursery rhymes, lullabies, poetry, and children's songs. For example, we have in number 4, we have a song that a good morning song. Can you hear it? We will hear how optimistic it is. I don't know what the sound. Sorry. The background noises. That's how she asked the children to wake up in the morning in that dormitory, in that orphanage. In the clinic, how they called it, and for getting them asleep, she composed the famous lullaby called Vigela, and this is we have it in on the screen, small screens of number 5 and 6. First, here we have it in Hebrew and is sorry in German. And that's the original text. And in English, the English translation. We can see 3 stanzas. The first 2 lines are repeated at the end of each stanza, which makes the song very easy to remember and to repeat. Even the music is very, very similar at the beginning and at the end of each stanza. Each stanza speaks about one subject. It's the wind in the first, the moon in the second, and the world in the last stanza. How silent is the world? And it's very interesting because it has a double meaning. The world is very silent at night, and the children go to sleep. But the truth is that the world is silent and doesn't respond to all the horrible things that are done and that appear, that happen during that period. Let's hear this Vigela.
Is it 6?
Yes. It takes a few seconds. So we have heard the repetitions, we have a very easy to understand and to repeat the text, and the whole musical piece is very, very easy to remember. In 1944, the family was separated. Her husband, Willy, with whom they were together before, he was deported to Auschwitz and later to Gleiwitz. Ilse stayed with the children, but she had the feeling that something is going to happen also with her, and she composed a kind of a prophetic song before she was leaving Therezin to Auschwitz, and here we have it in number 7. Number 7 is Ade Kamerad, farewell, my friend, before she knew that she was going to leave Therezin and be deported to Auschwitz. And here on the 4th line, we have Ich scheide von dir. This is what I took as the title of my speech. Let's hear it. Again, 3 stanzas. Again, line. Here we have only 5. It's actually 5, 6 lines. The same, almost the same form of text and of music. So the last line is always repeated. I don't know if we have enough time to hear the whole song, but yeah, you will decide.
No, we're almost done with the time, but I cannot see the song.
Here, it's the black one. That's
okay, let's hear the song and conclude.
Yeah, yes.
At least part of it.
Maybe one stanza is enough.
Ade Kamerad, hier teilt sich dein Pfad, denn morgen muss ich fort. Ich scheide von dir, man treibt mich von dir, ich geh mit dem Polentransport, ich geh mit dem Polentransport.
Can I close it?
That's it's
That was the
so
first.
optimistic. It's so different from the text of just living and not seeing anybody else anymore, and still full of optimism. But shortly after, on the beginning of October 44, the transport of the sick children was deported to Auschwitz. She was not supposed to join them, but she did with Thomas, her small, her little son, and they appeared in. They came to Auschwitz on the 6th of October, and they murdered upon arrival. The last evidence of Ilse is given by an old friend of the Weber family, whom she met in her last moment before entering the gas chambers in Auschwitz on the day that they arrived. She recognized him and asked what was about to happen to her and the children. His answer was, "It's a gas chamber. I have often heard you singing in the clinic, probably in Therezin. Go into the chamber, sit with the children on the floor and start singing. Sing what you always sang with them." Weber, Ilse, hugged one of the children and informed them, "So we will not be taking a shower." Willy and Hanush survived and were reunited in 1945 in Poland. First in Poland, and then they moved back to Czechoslovakia. The works of Ilse, many questions probably will be how the musics and the texts survived. So the works of Ilse survived thanks to the extraordinary efforts of her husband. He had buried them in Therezin, and after liberation, he returned to Therezin and picked them out. Ilse was a wonderful, smiling lady, generous, compassionate. Her presence and resistance had a tremendous impact on those around her. She believed that the music should go on in spite of everything, because music was for her a kind of temporal relief, expressing the combat against death. Her compositions had been a source of inspiration. That's what people told Hanush and Willy after the war, and helped these people retain their will to live. She was an excellent musician. Her composed simple tunes to poems that she wrote, singing and accompanying herself on the guitar. We had that picture with the lauta, with the lute. And her songs and poems remain probably a crucial part of both familial and cultural testimony, and bring to life her voice, her memory, and her legacy, which tragically perished in Auschwitz. Ilse didn't survive, but today the forgotten voice of Ilse is preserved in her compositions, which are performed in countless occasions and on many stages over the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel, for telling us about one sad and important story about an enormous cultural loss that occurred in Auschwitz, where all, among other things, many talented Jews were murdered. Now is the time for questions from the audience, and please raise the hand note so we'll see you and see that you're. Okay, I don't see any questions on the chat. Just see thank you notes. תודה רבה notes. Let's see. Anyone would like to ask a question to the presenters? No? Okay.
I have a question. It's Rachel Perry.
Rachel just is, okay, Rachel, you and then Noach. I see Noach raised his hand, but
Okay.
Rachel, where are you?
I can't put my,
Oh, here
my
I
camera
see.
on. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I see you, I see you.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi.
I had a question. Hi, thank you so much. That was really fabulous and a lot of food for thought. I had a question for Noah, basically on your title, and given all of the kind of visual metaphors and so on, I was wondering if you could just speak a little bit more about this idea of faces, and because I don't think you had time to really go into it, and the different kinds of faces, as you said, faces of I'm looking for my notes here, as a representation of death, of the body, the gray face of those murdered and the contorted face of those who were compliant, and kind of talk a little bit more, just elaborate on what you meant there in terms of metaphor, in terms of, I don't know, rhetorical strategies.
Great, thank you for this question. I think that faces is one of Salus's major themes. I've been trying to back this up also statistically by analyzing her texts. So there's a technical problem here with the various texts, which are a little bit different. But the searches that I've done show that the most frequent word is actually mensch, right? Man, person. And face is maybe number 6 on this list, so pretty high. But of course, one of the defining characteristics of a person is their face. The word recurs often in Salus, and so then I started kind of trying to understand who it is that she's depicting. And this is how I got to these 4 different faces. There's also this connection between the idea of face and the idea of truth, right? And also the idea of face and the idea of God, right? Shirim panim la Torah, right? Although Salus herself was completely unreligious. So on the one hand, there's the face of Auschwitz, because Salus and her husband were taken to Auschwitz completely not knowing where it is that they were going. They were hoping, despite the fact that they had been 2 years in Theresienstadt, they were still hoping that they were being sent to labor. And then the struggle of coming to terms with what was actually there, seeing the real face of Auschwitz, was a struggle with herself. It's not a linear process. It's not that she comes there and she understands. It's a back and forth process in which she has to dig through herself, and she's constantly being duped by the Germans, by Mengele, who appears to her as like an elegant Tanzmeister conducting the Polonaise, by her own hopes and dreams. And she has to kind of break through these levels of illusion until she sees this truth of Auschwitz as death itself. Then we have these faces of the prisoners. These are all, of course, female prisoners. So interesting from a gender perspective. On the one hand, we have, maybe the pit of despair is this face of the Gorgon, the witch, she calls her,
Nice.
the evil prisoner who works in the kitchen, and has a pile of margarine which she eats in front of their face while telling them that when they came, the chimneys burned all night. But this is also connected. These are the compliants, connected to prisoners who know how to behave in order to get power. So they're and also not prisoners, it has to be said, right? She afterwards she reflects on these insights when she's free, and she sees reflections in the free world as well. And then you have these gray faces. Gray is another one of these often repeated words in Salus. So you have these gray faces of the prisoners, not dead, dying. And again, not only prisoners, because afterwards she sees the same gray, which of course she also sees in the camp, not only in the faces, but in the colors of the camp. But she sees the same gray in the faces of the people in Prague. So I think those are the major faces. I also did want to take this one opportunity. Wait, I will share. I forgot to share the final slide, which includes the pictures that Nomi chose, and so maybe I can do that now. Here we go. Come on, there we go.
Oh, wow.
These are, yeah. As you can see, Salus was very much connected to motion, and in fact, when she was given news of the final action in Terezin, she was actually conducting some kind of a dance class, and she continued to work in dance after she came to Israel. I think I actually was going to ask a question too. My question is to Lily and also to Batya, because Lily, you put a strong emphasis on the fact that no women were writing. I think it's very convincing, aside from your subject, Lily, of course. But then the question is about drawing, because from what I saw, there was much more drawing in Auschwitz than one would expect. I'm thinking of Agnieszka Shidarska's 2016 book, Lager Museum. Those were only men, as far as I know. And I believe there are other books that discuss this form of portrait drawing in free time as a kind of pastime. It's almost photography in the camp. So were there women who drew?
As far as we know, most of the drawing was done post-war and not during their being in the camp, unless they were a part of a certain organization or they had connections. For example, we see that Primo Levi in certain times was able to sit in the laboratory and had, because of that, the ability to write. But usually we don't have evidence, even not of drawing, unless again they belong to certain organizations. We don't have any proof that during being in Auschwitz-Birkenau, an individual that did not belong to any contact or organization was able to do so. So it goes for drawing as well, as far as we know today.
Okay, I have to object. I'm sorry, but there are many, many drawings in Auschwitz, small booklets with drawings and prisoners, women and men, drew in Auschwitz. And I think that, Noach, you can go to our last panel, in which I showed art from the Holocaust, and it is recorded. It's on the WISC website. And yes, they were also visual representations in the camp, in Auschwitz.
But then they had to be connected somehow to.
Some of them were in the artist ateliers.
So you see, it's
No.
connection. The artist
Yes.
atelier, it's a connection.
Just a second, but they also drew in hiding, personal reaction to their situation there. Okay, since it's very, very late, and there are people who already left us, I would like to thank the three wonderful speakers, because on the chat, I read so many compliments to the lectures, and also to all of you. And see you in the next panel in May.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. And I wish you all a pleasant evening. And also, of course, happy Easter and happy Passover, which are already approaching us. Let's hope that they are going to bring us better days.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Batya, for your moderation. And see you all on our next panel. Bye.
Thank you very
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Batya,
you.
for the
Bye.
Batya, thank you very, very much for your assistance, technical assistance. Otherwise,
Okay.
it would
Okay. Thank
be worse.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.